and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all very, very well. Book haul today. Not many books coming in the way of book post because no one is in their office anymore, but I've got a few books that I've been putting to the side that I would like to now haul for you. 2 books that I bought myself and 2, 4, 5 books that were sent to me from the publishers. So a little baby book haul today, but a book haul nevertheless. So let's crack on straight away. Let's start with the books that I've bought. So you might have heard me mention that I've got designs and plans this June. Last June I did something that I invented myself called June Eyre, where I read all books. So I read Jane Eyre, and then I read books that were retellings or inspired by Jane Eyre, etc, etc. And this year in June I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to do Pride and Prejudice. So I'm going to read Pride and Prejudice at the beginning of June, and then books that are based on it, or as I said, inspired by it, or retellings, etc. So I've been gradually sort of collecting a few. Every time I've seen one, I've bought a few online second hand. If I've seen any in the shops, I've got them. And I've got myself this. I'm really excited. This is Pride by Ibi Zoboi, it says here a Pride and Prejudice remix. So it's set in Brooklyn, and Zuri Benitez is the lead character. She's the Elizabeth Bennet character, it says here, Brooklyn pride, family pride, and pride in her Afro-Latino roots, but pride might not be enough to save her neighbourhood from changing into something unrecognisable. When the wealthy Darcy family moves in next door, Zuri wants nothing to do with their 2 teenage sons, even as her older sister Janai starts to fall for the charming Ainsley. She especially can't stand the judgmental and arrogant Darius. So there's more and more. I think it's to do with gentrification, with bases in Pride and Prejudice. I am so excited to read this, and I really love this front cover. So yeah, this is going to be really exciting when I get around to it, to reading it in June. So very excited. And then the next one I bought is one that I bought for a book club. So I run a whole host of book clubs, but one of the book clubs that I until very recently run was a book club online with some people I know in real life. I run it through Facebook Messenger, and there's a small group of us. There's a group of 5 of us, and we discuss books every month and have a read and things like that. And up until this month, I had been picking the books and setting the questions and everything. It was all just getting a bit much, I said to the girls that I run the book that join in with the book club, does any of you guys want to step up and take over a month, or maybe we could take it in turns to do a month? And one of the other girls did, and I'm so excited to be part of a book club that I'm not running, and to not sort of know what the questions are going to be, and to sort of answer questions off the cuff, really. So I'm really excited. But the book she picked was a book that I'd wanted to read for a really long time anyway, and actually got out from the library, but libraries are all closed now, and I had to give it back because somebody else had a reservation on it, and that's The Farm by Joanne Ramos. Now I've seen Emma from Drinking by My Shelf talk about this, and very much enjoy it, and I'm really looking to reading it. So it's about a place called a luxury retreat called Golden Oaks, which is a sort of innovative new thing in the fertility industry, where there's women there who will have babies for you, and as long as they sort of keep their mouth shut and just go along with whatever's going on in this luxury retreat. So yeah, Jane is the character who is in this luxury retreat, and she is looking for a better future for herself. So yeah, she finds herself involved in this Golden Oaks thing. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really great, and I can't wait to start on it. So that'll be being read pretty shortly. So those are the 2 books that I bought, and then I've got 5 books here that I've been sent by the publisher, some of which were unsolicited, which was exciting, because one of them sounds really good even though it's unsolicited. So the first one I've got here is this is a proof copy. This is what the eventual front cover will look like, and that's Hello Now by Jenny Valentine, and it's got a quote on here by Sarah Crossan which says, fabulously original and inspiring. Sarah Crossan's written some of my favourite sort of YA books. I've been very invested in her work, so exciting to see that on there. So this is a love story mainly. I've read the press release that comes with it. It's a love story about a character called Jude, and someone, I've forgotten the name of the person, I think it's Novo. Novo is someone who turns up in Jude's life, and there's a love story between them. Now I've read that there's some information here from the author in the press release, and the author talks about how she never gave Jude a gender. So when she sent the book to her US publishers and her UK publishers, one of them saw Jude as female and one of them saw Jude as male, and they sort of asked her to clarify, and she was like, let's just leave it. Let's just leave it. Jude is just Jude. It doesn't matter what gender he or she is. Let's just leave it. So that feels like quite an interesting sort of take on a YA or a children's love story. So yeah, we'll be reading that shortly. It sounds very interesting. The next one is one that I've seen sort of a few people mention on BookTube and on Instagram, and that's The Lonely Fajita by Abigail Mann. And this is just what everyone's up to at the moment, isn't it? Not me, because I don't drink wine. But there's a girl here wrapped up in a lovely blanket with a glass of wine there, and the tagline here says, "Suddenly single and not quite ready to mingle," which ordinarily, like, this sort of like women's contemporary fiction is not my bag, but quite recently I've started reading. I read a Marion Keyes book last month and fucking loved it. And I'm actually reading another one of hers at the moment. And I thought, let's give a genre that you don't ordinarily get on with a bit more of a go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And I also really like that this is a proof copy, but on the back, it's got a sort of like notepad, and it says here, tick all that apply. You've had stronger feelings for a houseplant than your ex. You've been for one run and it nearly killed you. You avoid your bank balance to pretend you aren't broke. You're not evil, but you have imagined killing your boss. And you'd rather set fire to your eyebrows than go on a first date. And I'm like, oh. And it says here, if you've ticked any of the above, The Lonely Fajita is for you. If you didn't, you'll love it anyway. Then share it with a friend to make them smile. So yeah, it sounds like quite an easy read, sounds like comfort, all things that we need at the moment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to that as well. The next one sounds a little bit more intense, and that is Christina Lamb's Our Bodies, Their Battlefield, What War Does to Women, published by William Collins. And this is an account of Christina Lamb's dealings with women in war. And it says here, Christina Lamb has reported on wars for over 30 years, becoming increasingly angered by the untold half of the story. In Our Bodies, Their Battlefield, she gives voice to women in conflict, exposing how in modern warfare rape is used by armies, terrorists and militias as a weapon to humiliate, terrify and carry out ethnic cleansing. Though rape was formalised as an international war crime in 1919, the International Criminal Court has convicted no one. This startling new book calls on us to listen and to act against this, the world's most neglected war crime. So it sounds really, really, really heavy, and I imagine it's going to be a really, really, really hard read, but nevertheless super, super important read. So yeah, we'll be getting around to that maybe when my mood is somewhat lifted. And then the last two just arrived in the post, and I didn't know they were coming, so that's quite exciting. One of them will be exciting for you lot as well. So the first one is Heatstroke by Hazel Barkworth, who is an author I haven't heard of, and it says here on the back, too hot to sleep, too hot to think straight, too hot to go back. Now, I have experienced too hot to think, too hot to sleep experiences, and the summer's rolling round, and you guys know I'm not a big summer fan, so I understand what that feels like, but I do like seasonal reading, so I will be looking forward to reading this when it's really hot, and sort of be involved in the atmosphere of it. Now this isn't out until the 28th of May, and I believe, well, just from the people, because there's not much info on it on the actual book, but I believe that it's just based on the people who, well, based on the people who've done a sort of blurb on it, a few of these are like thriller writers or crime writers like Claire McIntosh, Erin Kelly, Kirstin Innes. But let's have a look and see what it's about together. So it says, it's too hot to sleep, right, let's start again. It's too hot to sleep, to work, to be questioned time and again by the police. At the beginning of a stifling, sultry summer, everything shifts irrevocably when Lily doesn't come home one afternoon. Rachel is Lily's teacher. Her daughter Mia is Lily's best friend. The girls are 15, almost women, still children. As Rachel becomes increasingly fixated on Lily's absence, she finds herself breaking fragile trust and confronting impossible choices she never thought she'd faced. It wasn't supposed to be like this. So yeah, it sounds like it's going to be really, like, I look forward to reading that around the summertime. So that's going on my shelf of books that haven't quite come out yet, and when it gets a bit warmer, I will be pulling that out. And then the last one is actually one that, as I said, it arrived unsolicited, but I'd actually already read it. I got a copy out from the library because it was on the Women's Prize for Fiction long list, and that's Fleishman is in Trouble by Taffy Bradessa Ackner. So very grateful for this to be sent to me. But it's published by Wildfire in the paperback, only recently come out, I think. Yeah, 21st. Oh, it hasn't even come out yet. The paperback comes out on the 21st of April. But I'd read this already because it was on the women's long list. Now, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, and I thought I was going to hate it. So good news. So you're following Fleishman, who is a doctor, and his wife sort of does a sort of disappearing act. She drops off the kids to him and just disappears off the face of the earth. They are separated, but he drops off and you don't hear from her again, and he's having to sort of negotiate working and looking after these kids and everything. And as like she's sort of presented as the villain of the piece, like really like just this is the sort of thing she'd always do, just drop off the kids and just forget about all her responsibilities, etc. And then as it unravels, you sort of see, you hear, you don't hear from her perspective, but you hear other sort of evidence against him and for her. And yeah, I feel like it's, I read it in the weekend when I did that big massive reading vlog weekend where I read for 24 hours in a weekend. I finished it that weekend, so it was very an intense reading situation, a very intense reading experience for me, because I don't often read, and actually the hardback felt much bigger than this, but yeah, I've read it and I've returned the book from the library and I won't be reading it again. So if any of you guys would like this copy, now I will put a disclaimer in here, because somebody has actually, somebody else got in touch via Instagram, and I've offered them a copy of a book that I've read and won't read again. One of my priorities at the moment is not going to the post office, but eventually when I am able to go to the post office without fear of catching something, then I would gladly post this out to one of you guys. So let me know if you would like a copy of this. How do we do this? How should we do this as a giveaway? What I'll say is, make sure you subscribe to the channel, obviously, like the video, and let me know what book you are reading this very moment, and I will class that as an entry to this giveaway. If only one person wants it, that person can have it, but if there's a few of you, then that's how I'll do it, and I'll get I'll do a random picker, or I'll get David to pick randomly, and then when this is done, who knows when that'll be, I will post this out to you. It's a brand new paperback, so yeah, I'm happy to do that. So yeah, like I said, disclaimer, because I don't know when that'll be, but if you would like this book, then let me know down below what book you're reading at the moment, and I will eventually post it out to you. So those are 7 books that I've recently got my mitts on. Let me know what books you've recently got your mitts on. What I've been tending to do, because as I said, not as many books as coming in and I'm not buying as many books, I'm really getting through the books on my shelves, which is lovely. And also I was able to go to the library before it closed, and I'm a member of 2 different libraries, so I was able to sort of stock up on library books before they all closed. So I've got quite a lot of books to get through there, but it's quite pleasant just sort of getting through the books that I've got here. So we'll get to these books eventually. Let me know what books you've got your hands on recently. Let me know if you would like this, and I'll see you all again soon for another book review video.